Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. I'm putting my subject matter in my comments so I can pin this really quick. And yes, I am going to see. Well, I'll just start talking to you all in the meantime. So today I am super excited because we are going to spend a little time talking to Dr. Cameron Webb, who is running for Congress from Virginia. And he is here now, so let's bring him in. Hi!
Hey, how's it going?
How are you, Cameron?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Good. Thank you for agreeing to sit with me today. And first of all, let's start with good luck on your race. How are things looking for you? You're running for which congressional district in Virginia?
It's Virginia's 5th district, so it's kind of a big district right down the middle of the Commonwealth. It runs from Fauquier County near D.C. all the way down to the North Carolina border. So nice. Ooh. And gerrymandered.
Yeah, it is nice and very gerrymandered. Right. I know that it includes Charlottesville. I was trying to pull up my notes because it's been a long week, but I was like, let me just get that out there at the top of this. So I want to talk to you about the race, and I want to talk to you about coronavirus because what I think is so fascinating is we're in this time where people are being asked to protect themselves. And also, while we're being asked to protect ourselves, we are in the fight of our lives, literally, and people are hitting the street. So when, as a medical doctor who specializes in internal medicine, you're spending your days and your nights literally treating coronavirus patients. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. And I'm at the University of Virginia. Like you mentioned, I'm an internal medicine doctor. And so my group, we manage the coronavirus unit at UVA. So just Monday night, I was working the unit, taking care of coronavirus patients. And I'll tell you, the very first time I was on that service, the thing that stood out to me was how many of the patients were Black and brown. I mean, it's literally striking. And that's happening all over the country. And it's certainly happening here in Central Virginia, too. Mm-hmm. And so you realize we were already in this public health crisis for Black and brown communities. Disproportionately, Black folks are dying. Disproportionately, Latinx population is having higher prevalence of the disease. But then on top of that, like you mentioned, there's that other public health crisis born of 401 years.
Yes,
of
and from Virginia,
that's right.
Where it all went down.
We know it very well. And so I think it's been interesting because, you know all about social media and the way that trolls play out. But I think I've been talking about protecting our communities from coronavirus all along. And then we have, Ahmaud Arbery, and then we have, Breonna Taylor, and then we have George Floyd's death. And I'm just like, well, there's another public health crisis we've got to tackle, which is, Black folks who've been dying all over the country. And so, I think the main thing for me is just telling folks how to participate safely, if such a thing exists, And so, happy to talk about that a little bit, but I think it really comes down to you have to be outspoken. You have to use your voice in this space. As well as anybody, you can't let a crisis go to waste. We can't let this moment pass without creating meaningful change. And so if you're going to be out in the streets, you got to be wearing a mask. You've got to try to keep that 6 feet of distance. And it's funny, somebody in my community saw me at a demonstration the other day, and they said, you had every bit of your medical degree on there. I saw you, shuffling to keep your 6 feet of distance. And I was like, that's right, but you have to.
You should see me in the stores. I'm like in the Matrix. I'm like,
right.
I do not I'm such a germaphobe even before this. So I'm like, and I'm the person with the mask on. It's like 6 feet. I'm like that full. So I definitely get that and respect that. We want you to stay safe. Your primary is June 23rd.
That's right.
Was postponed from June 9th. How did that feel? Were you upset? Did you feel torn because you understand the medical reasons too? How was that?
No, I thought it was a good thing. I think at the time when they made that decision, we'd seen what happened in Wisconsin, and the last thing I want is folks getting sick trying to participate in our democracy. And so even though 2 weeks isn't a wide berth, it was a little something, and I think it made a difference here in Virginia because we've started opening up a little bit more. It's safer and safer every week. Still not safe. The virus is still there. Things are a little bit better. And it's cast absentee ballots.
Somebody called me in the middle of what you said.
No, it's all good. I was just saying, plus it gave folks more
Sorry
time to
about
cast
that.
absentee ballots, and so the absentee process is important. And so I'm absolutely fine with it. I think when I'm very confident in the arguments that we're making, right? I'm very confident in the race that we're running, and so you can put our election day on any day. I still feel like we're in a good position to win. So I'm excited about it.
Yes, and so one of the things I want to get into too, just briefly, is family life, because there are a lot of people in here. They must be excited about the news that there's a new Bachelor on ABC or whatever station that program comes on. He is not one. He is married also to a doctor. Talk to us about how your wife feels about you running for Congress. Does she feel like you messing with the church's money? Like, how does she feel about that? Or was she always expecting you to be this type of involved in this type of public service?
Well, the first thing I need to do is I need to thank you for bringing this up, because I'm in a little bit of trouble, because I came to my office to do this this Instagram live, and she had every intention of popping her head in to say hi to you. So she just wanted to say hi to you.
Tell her I said hi, and tell her thank you for all she's doing right now to support you in this, to support the community and healing. Tell her I said hello. Tell me her name again.
It's Leigh-Ann Webb. She's on. She just said
Dr. Webb, the other Dr. Webb.
The better Dr. Webb.
Thank you for being here. Shout out to you, sis.
So the reality is, honestly, none of this is possible without her. She's like the epitome of the perfect partner in this sort of thing. And that's beyond the fact that, we're both hustling she's on the front lines in the emergency department. So we're hustling to take care of patients, to manage our kids, right? Because they're home from school, and our support network is our parents, who are usually able to come and help out, but coronavirus means they can't. But then on top of all of that, listen, she's the ace in the hole on this election, because she's from the southern part of the district. Her dad's a pastor. He's on the school board down there. I mean, honestly, without her...
so she knows about public service. School board. Should we expect two Dr. Webbs in office then?
Listen, she's capable of doing anything. She's always had better grades than me. She's the smarter one, and she's the better half. So I just I do what she lets me do. But
I love that.
She's awesome.
I love that. So let me ask you this. Given what we're experiencing right now on the streets, knowing that Charlottesville, in a lot of ways, I feel like there are tipping points, and then there are like pre-tipping points. That was a pre-tipping point, right? Shout out to West Bellamy, by the way, who I know is a friend of both of ours.
Yeah.
I want to know, what the climate is like in Charlottesville right now, and what do you expect to come out of this?
Well, I think Charlottesville was primed because of the Unite the Right rally. And I think Charlottesville knows a thing or two about standing up and speaking out against racial injustice. And you shouted out Wes Bellamy, and like I said, that's the homie. Wes has been amazing for me in this process. But what I also another person I have to acknowledge is Zion Bryant, who, is kind of the young activist who's driving so much of this in the community. In a lot of ways, she lit the flame with the whole Confederate monuments piece. And so shout out to Zy Bryant. She's a hero of mine, and she's 19 years old. So I think Charlottesville. Yeah. So
I need to talk to her next.
You got to. And listen, we'll get it done. We'll get it done. But I think that Charlottesville's got that kind of activism. It has that kind of leadership. And so when we came into this moment, when I tell you they were ready to demonstrate right then and there, and they know what it looks like, and they know how to mobilize. And I think that's an important voice here in Central Virginia. I went down to Danville in the southern part of the district, and similarly, folks know how to mobilize, because everybody's heard of Bloody Sunday down in Selma, but there was Bloody Monday in Danville. There's a history and a legacy. It was one of the capitals of the Confederacy. So there's a legacy here in this district that's powerful, and people know how to speak out. So in a lot of ways, I always say, I'm a Christian by background. I say that our campaign was built for such a time as this, because we've navigated these waters. We know what it means to be outspoken and to be unapologetic. And at the same time, I don't shy away from the fact that I'm just a strong candidate, no matter how you slice it. With my background, with my expertise, and the fact that I'm willing to be outspoken is just icing on top of that. So I think that it's coming from Charlottesville at a time like this, it's kind of the perfect combination.
Let me ask you this. This is the controversy. Mm-hmm. The controversy is you were a White House fellow, and you kind of crossed the bridge between Obama leaving, and then Donald Trump coming in. What was that transition like, being there at that time?
we talk about Black trauma. Listen, I think. Listen. I mean,
all the tea, y'all. All the tea. So you said Black trauma. You got trauma.
Listen, I think I tell the story all the time. My first 2 months in the Trump White House, they put my desk in the hallway. They wouldn't let me into the office. They said they thought I was a spy from the Obama administration. And here I am trying to do work, trying to help out, and they wouldn't let me. So as a full doctor, full lawyer, they said there was nothing I could do to be helpful to them. And that was for 2 months, every day showing up at work. One day I showed up and the desk had physically been removed. They put my belongings on the floor. This was a hallway desk. So, I mean, they sent every signal you can send for me to leave. You know, I'm just not built that way. So for me, I was like, yeah.
Cameron, you got to say all that again. That time, I think as soon as we brought that up, they sending people to call now. Okay, so they put your desk in the hallway, your belongings on the floor. Do you know who did it?
Well, so what I know is that there were 4 desks in the hallway. 3 of them were empty. Mine had pictures of my family, my stuff, everything. They could have taken any of the other 3 desks. They took mine. So, I mean, obviously desks don't just walk away in the White House. So they did it on purpose. But what I always told them is they made a couple mistakes, by I'm an extrovert by nature. You put an extrovert in a hallway, I'm just going to wander around talking to people. And that's what I did. I think I learned a lot about how movement conservatives think just by challenging them on education or on transportation or on healthcare and just having those deep conversations. And eventually I wandered my way into a room with some pharmaceutical CEOs and got into a conversation. And it was a guy from the Trump White House from the Office of Management and Budget, heard me kind of having a back and forth with the CEO from Pfizer. And he was like, "Who are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I work here. I just sit in that hallway." And he was like, "Do you want to work with us on drug pricing?" He wanted me to work with Representative Elijah Cummings. He was like, "It's one of the few bipartisan things we're doing." I know that is an absolute mentor of mine. And so that gave me the opportunity to engage again on policy. But the truth of the matter, one more story from the Trump White House is, I continued to do that drug pricing work, but we moved to Charlottesville the week of the Unite the Right rally. And so I came down, I know. So Leigh-Ann was here she was starting business school at UVA because not only is she a doctor, but she also has her MBA from UVA. So she's,
y'all got all the degrees. I hope y'all got scholarships and not student debt.
I was about to say all the debt too, but I think that, we were there for that rally. And I went back to the White House the Monday after the Unite the Right rally. I walked into Omarosa's office and I was like, "Isn't your whole job to make sure that he's communicating with the African-American community in a meaningful way?" And I was like, "What's going on?" And I announced my resignation. I left the office that day. So,
okay, I like that story.
Yeah.
Yo, I think that what is so profound about what you're saying is like, what you all should know, for those of you who don't know, the White House Fellowship is a very prestigious fellowship. It's hard to get. This man is running for Congress. He wasn't running for Congress as a White House fellow, but White House fellow, lawyer, doctor. They put his desk in the hallway. And so what would be such poetic justice to me is for the very White House fellow that they put in the hallway to come back and be like, "Hey, y'all, I'm here at the State of the Union." Well, hopefully in November,
we got a different president.
If miracles happen,
right,
you'll have someone else delivering the State of the Union address. But I think, so one of the things that I think is important, Cameron, with the time we have, is just for you to explain to our viewing audience, what is your platform? Why Congress? Why now?
Yeah, I did not have the intentions of running for Congress. In fact, in my family, I'm not even the most political one. My older brother has worked on the Hill for years. His name is Brandon Webb. Brandon's been, he was the political one. You're like, wait a minute, I know you're
Shut up!
Yeah.
That is not your brother.
Yeah, it is.
That's my brother.
And so,
I did not know this. I'm literally about to call him and be like, "Why didn't you call me and ask me to talk to your brother?" Really?
Yeah, he's always been the much more political one. And for me, I've been focused on healthcare. I've been focused on my passion for making sure that people have access to the care that they need. And for me, I just go to where the fight is. And I just realized that in this moment in history, healthcare is the number one issue in our country. It's literally breaking families' backs. It's breaking people's backs. You have 30 million folks who didn't have insurance before the COVID pandemic, and upwards of 27 million more who are going to lose their insurance. We just need real expertise. And when I look back at kind of what I've done along the way. I look back at the reality that, yes, I'm a practicing doctor and I'm the director of health policy and equity at the University of Virginia. I'm on the state Medicaid board here in Virginia, appointed by the governor. And then I was a White House fellow on the White House healthcare team. I'm just like, what I bring to this conversation at a time where our nation is trying to fix healthcare it's unprecedented. There's just nothing like that. And I mean, speaking of unprecedented, if elected, I would be the first Black physician to be a voting member of Congress, right? And I think about that, and I think about it in this moment, and I said, we've got to show up and we've got to use those voices in a meaningful way. So healthcare is absolutely a huge part of my platform. That's the reason why I'm running, just to be honest. It's because we've got a job to do. But then I look at the other issues that are the most important, the most pressing right now. I think economic mobility is a huge one. The reality that in our communities, you don't have real opportunities to achieve that so-called American dream. And so to me, it manifests through education. In the White House for Obama, I worked on the My Brother's Keeper initiative. I learned so much, with Michael Smith and Broderick Johnson and Ashley Etienne. Absolutely. And Karen Evans, like that whole squad, I think everybody was so focused on using the levers of government to improve life outcomes for folks. And so for me, I worked with 23 federal offices and agencies. I was just like, hey, we can actually create an America where people can have opportunities for success. And so that's a huge part of what I'm pressing toward. And let's remember, when Dr. King was talking about the African-American community, he made some progress. When he started talking about poor people and everybody having opportunities, he got killed. Right. The reality is that is that game here in the United States is how can we really unify people around this notion that truly everyone should have an opportunity for success. Actually, my wife just tweeted about that this morning. It's that idea that
I'm gonna look that up.
Opportunities. Yeah. And so I think that at the end of the day, like those issues are huge to me. Of course, our climate crisis, I'm a scientist. I can't ignore the science. And I'm just like, we can bring science and reason and rationality and equity to our policymaking spaces. And it just so happens that I come in as a doctor talking about these things at literally the perfect time, and literally in the midst of a global health pandemic and a crisis of racial unrest, racial injustice. It's the time for this kind of campaign, this kind of message, and I'm leaning into it.
I love that someone just put up your donation link, and I think that's important because someone just said, man, I wish I lived in Virginia so I could vote for you. I echo that. I don't wish I lived in Virginia, but I do wish I could vote for you. I think that one thing that would be helpful is if we can take a moment to tell the people who are watching, to tell the people who will watch, what are the things they can do that is a proxy for their vote for you. Let's talk about some of those things, because I think this is also a very unique time where people are like, okay, I need to understand politics better so I can change some of this stuff. So what are the things they can do, since if they can't vote for you, what are the things they can do to be supportive?
They can amplify my voice, and the way that they do so is with their dollars. And I'll tell you, my campaign has been so excited because, really when everything popped off over the last few weeks, I'll tell you, in the last 2 weeks, we've had about $200,000 in donations. We've had over 5,000 individual donors. Our average donation has been about $18. People across the country have said, wait, doctor, lawyer, social justice advocate in a time like this.
Doctor, lawyer, social justice, and he Black, and Trump put his desk in the White House. I mean, in the hallway at the White House. Yeah, exactly. They're ready.
And so people have stepped up, and they've been able to, and what that does, that's, that $20, that $25 people send has a huge impact, because suddenly now we've been able to put our commercials in the DC media market, which is some of our district, in the Richmond media market. We've been able to amplify the voice. And so more people are hearing us, and more people are saying, hey, that's the right candidate for the moment. So absolutely contribute. And yes,
let me put this up. Leigh-Ann was like, listen, we're not going to just be in here. Y'all need to put this website up. So let me pin this comment now.
Nice.
Now y'all have the website right there.
And that's how that's my lady right there. Always,
Ride or die.
always,
we see
always.
You. We see you, the other Dr. Webb. We see you.
Always. So I think that's a huge part of it. I think also social media is huge. So the shares, the getting momentum, because the thing is, I say it all the time, there's nothing like an idea whose time has come. And if we start spreading this message and getting momentum around the idea that this is the kind of voice that we need in our legislative spaces, I'm telling you, it has no rival in our politics. And so, get the word out, let folks know, spread the word about our campaign, about what we're doing here in Virginia's 5th District. I will tell you, there's the Republican primary is tomorrow. And I say a primary because the incumbent is a first-term Republican, but he's getting challenged from somebody to the right of him. And that challenger is expected to win tomorrow. And if that challenger wins tomorrow, this is an open seat. And I'm telling you, if this is an open seat, it's game on in such a major way. Democrats have lost 8 of the last 9 races here in this district. The last Democratic congressman was Tom Perriello, and he came into that wave with Obama. And we know that the path to victory here is actually enhancing Black voices, getting more African-American voters out. That is the part of the electorate that's been missing here, and it's because of voter disenfranchisement and voter suppression and all of those tactics that we know about. But we focused since the beginning on engaging that community, engaging our community in the southern part of the district, those 9 counties with more than 35% Black population. And when we do that, we know that we've got a real meaningful shot of flipping this district. And so especially if it's an open seat, I mean, the CBC, and I have to give a shout out to the Congressional Black Caucus, because they have been so incredibly supportive. Congressman Hakeem Jeffries did an event for me last night. Congresswoman Gwen Moore was on, you know.
I love her. I
Eddie
love
Bernice
all of them, but I
Johnson,
love her.
Congressman Bobby Scott. They have been so incredible. Yesterday, Senator Kamala Harris endorsed our campaign. And, you know, when you think about it.
The CBC PAC is in here
nice.
talking you up. I sit, just for full disclosure, I do sit on the CBC PAC board. Okay. But I want that clear in case somebody tries to have a gotcha moment later. And I did not tell them we were doing this. So I appreciate that. Connection right now, but yeah. But
no, they've been incredible, because it's not about it. You know, I was talking to a representative this morning, and I was saying, you know, thanks for your support, and they were like, nothing was given to you. This was earned. You know, you've done the work, and I think that what they've done is they've created the space for me to engage people, and that's what equity and that's what opportunity looks like. It looks like us using our spaces to promote one another and to say, hey, here's an opportunity for you to make a difference, and so so I give a shout out to them.
So we have the ways to support you are donating by going to this website that Dr. Webb, the wife, posted, and we just pinned in my comments. And then the other thing that we know that we can do is to amplify what you're doing on social media. Do you want to share your handles?
Yeah, so it's Dr. Cameron Webb. So on Instagram, it's the same handle on Twitter. I'm literally, I think, like 300, not even, followers away from 10,000. So let's get over that line today. That
y'all, come on. Help a brother out.
Right. But I think that you know, just getting that word out, using those voices, using those spaces, that's going to be the key, and that'll get us through. I think we've got just 11 days left until this election, and we're going to push to the finish line. You know, what I know is that you run hard all the way through the tape, so I'm not letting up at all. But I think the help along the way is what makes it so that, you know, right now, what we always said is just keep running full speed ahead. You never look behind you, because that's how you lose speed. So we're running full speed ahead, but you guys are the wind behind us if you help push.
Let me ask you this last thing. And for those of you who didn't catch it, Instagram, Twitter handles, Dr. Cameron Webb, just like the website you see below to donate. Is there, for your primary race, which is June 23rd in Virginia for the latecomers, is there anyone in the primary who you're most concerned about running against?
Oh man, I'm not built like that. I'm not worried about other people. But I think that what I would say is that, you know, there are other candidates. What I think in my field, we've got 3 other people in the field. They're all nice folks. They all are passionate about service. But I know what I'm bringing to the table. I know that the campaign that I'm running has been really focused on the key issues from the beginning. So I'm not worried about anybody else so much as I know that they all bring a lot of money. So some of them are really skilled fundraisers. Some of them have a lot of support from other organizations. And that's really important too. But what I feel really confident in is if I just keep talking, if I keep sharing our message, if I keep talking about the things that really matter, people see what it brings. And so I'm not worried about other people's races as much as my own. And I know that we run our race to its full capacity. We have the resources to fully execute our plan. We've raised over $800,000 so far. And in a primary, that is
great.
Yeah.
That's great.
And so for us, we've gotten pretty close. I think we've got a little less than $100,000 to go to fully execute our full plan. We fully execute our full plan. I think we got this.
Did they tell you, or did you have any consultant that said this is how much you need to really win and be competitive in this race?
Yeah, they did. They said somewhere between 800,000 and 1 million, and so I'm
y'all.
I'm
he needs 200K. Where y'all at?
Exactly.
That's why I'm asking. So part of the reason why I'm not trying to get you to be afraid of the opponents. I'm asking you so that we know what gaps have to be closed over the next. I'm a political strategist.
You are indeed. And so
it's just.
Yeah. So one of my opponents has raised. The reports from FEC came out yesterday. He had raised about $970,000, right? Okay. And money talks, and so I think that for us, And it talks in the form of being able to communicate on television,
That's
on
right.
video, in people's mailboxes, and on digital. And so we don't want to be out communicated, right? I think if we have one-to-one, if you hear everybody's commercials the same amount, we believe we'll win this race.
That's right.
And that's what it comes down to. Yeah.
Okay. Well, very good. I am so glad that you joined us. I'm glad that the other Dr. Webb joined us as well. Thank you, Leigh-Ann. And go ahead.
I have to give a plug real quick because she wrote a children's book along with her colleague, Dr. Ebony Hilton, and my sister-in-law, Ashley Corinne, that won a national award. It's about COVID. It's a little Black boy named Parker.
Oh, wow.
And it's for kids ages 5 to 9. It's available for free on her website. And honey, if you want to drop the link for the Get Well Company so people know where to find that book, that would be great. But again, it's about getting resources to the community. It's about getting information out to people. So shout out to her because she's been doing the work in a major way and
Leigh-Ann got all the jobs. She like figured out how to make the kids that work. She campaign manager right now. She got a doctor job. She got an MBA. What else? I love it. Y'all, and an author. So I love this. Shout out to you all for doing the work together. She put in some hearts. Did you put the website in too, sis? And for just whatever else we can do to be helpful, we'll definitely be praying for you, sending all the good vibes.
Thank you.
You guys, the race is June 23rd. Follow Cameron Webb at Dr. Cameron Webb on Instagram and on Twitter. Make sure that you're checking him out. Amplify what he's posting. You can donate. I know it's a tough time to donate, y'all, but if you have a few extra dollars, you know, a little bit goes a long way. At church, we like to say we prefer the kind that crinkles over the kind that tinkles.
I used the Coming to America line. I was like, we'll take the kind that jingles, but we rather the kind that folds. So
yes, or that. But the bottom line is, help a brother out. We try to get him across the finish line on June 23rd. I also want to shout out my sister, Alencia, who brought you to my attention and said, this is somebody you got to talk to. And I was like, okay, sis, whatever for you. Once again, Alencia was right. You are brilliant. I cannot wait to see you in the halls of Congress with my CBC family. You'll be my CBC family. And your brother is my brother. I'm about to text him right now, like, really, Brandon? You didn't want to tell me about this? You didn't want me to help your brother out? You should get him too.
Yeah,
he was like, he got to pull himself up by his own bootstraps.
It makes you stronger. So.
Okay, well, thank you so much. You all take care.
Thanks for having me. See ya.
Have a good weekend. Bye-bye. Wow, you guys, so impressive. Dr. Cameron Webb, you see the website below. Definitely help him out. If you all can, call people in his district, if that's an available option on the website. If you can knock doors, if you live over there, great. Alencia, shout out to you, sis, for making this happen. And I hope that you all will support him. What we know that we need is more representation in Congress. What we know that we need are more people who can serve as our consciences. That burden has fallen for far too long on just a select few. The CBC members could use some extra folks, and this dude represents a new generation, and he's brilliant. And Trump put his desk in the hallway. Don't y'all want to help him just because of that? Let's send him to Congress so that Donald Trump got to deal with that. Love y'all. Have a good weekend.